Hi, and welcome to episode 3 of At Home with Tracy, real estate, community, and the conversations that connect us. Today I'm here with Jeffrey Miller. Actually, you prefer Jeff, I'm assuming.
Either one's fine.
Jeffrey Miller.
Sure.
I kind of know him in a few ways. So, but we're going to talk about some things that might surprise you. We're going to talk about everything from mortgage to investment to owning a local small business.
Yeah.
In this case, your coffee shop.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to start with, and I had already told you, I was really excited to converse with you because I knew that we could do this organically.
Sure.
There wasn't going to have to be this dialogue we had to talk about.
Yeah.
You're a very good speaker. I think
Thank you.
a lot
Appreciate
of that
that.
comes from the diversity you've had over the years, which are some of the topics we're going to talk about.
Okay.
But although you started with mortgages, crossed over and had the overlap of investing,
Yep.
and it eventually brought you to where we are sitting today. From your words, had you not had that investment background, would you have ever seen yourself owning a coffee shop?
No. And you're so right. I went from corporate America thinking I was going to have one job for the rest of my life to realizing I didn't want that. And then I started a little side hustle. I started buying rental properties. And yeah, I think that's a great question because if I look back on it, my full entrepreneurial journey, which is where I'm now, we have multiple businesses and different things. Yeah, you have to start somewhere. And I think quitting your job and just becoming an entrepreneur, I had a family. I wasn't going to do that. So I had to do it kind of in stages. So I bought a couple rental properties, and even to take it one step even more granular, I never even planned on having the investment portfolio that we have. It was one rental property.
Right.
And then the next year, another opportunity came up. So I bought another one. Then I didn't buy anything for a year. And then the next year I bought 2. And then before I knew it, it was like 10 years in. I said, wait a minute, I have 10 rental properties. That's a business. So I didn't even really plan on what we've done. But no, that started me on the real entrepreneurial journey. And then like, everybody in corporate America, it gave me my life. It did everything. So I'm very fortunate I did that. But I just got to the point where I just couldn't do that anymore. I had these other opportunities that were going and profitable, and then just jumped in full steam, and it's been pretty good.
And I love that because the word I was hoping you were going to use and used it several times was opportunity.
Yeah.
Because what I think needs to happen for anybody, whether it's looking to seek a career in the corporate world, doing something on their own, being self-employed or an independent contractor, or having investments and or a business such as the coffee shop, I feel like you need to, we often say we have to meet people where they're at with our clients and things of that nature. I feel that if you're looking to do self-owned business or investment, you have to meet yourself at the opportunities that are presented.
Yeah.
You have to be open because had you ever said prior to this, hey, I'm going to have a coffee shop one day, and that wasn't your thought process.
Yeah.
And I think I've heard you say that, which is why I wanted to call back to that.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
But you were open to it. You saw the benefit that could be there. You saw that it would allow you, again, another avenue, another circle of, or what would you say, another stream of income that wasn't the mundane. I shouldn't say mundane, but again, like anything,
it wasn't a regular job.
You're investing or you're doing flips or you're doing rentals. It gave you another outlet that was a little different. And it gave you some creativity to create another stream of income.
Now, it's certainly from the coffee shop perspective, it was a lot harder than I thought.
I remember you saying that too.
If I knew what I knew now, I'm not sure if we would have done it because I truly do love it.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of work. And again, dealing with retail and health department and food vendors and all that, it's a lot more. When we first opened, the first year we were open, I thought it would be what you just mentioned, kind of a passive, streamlined business. Yeah, I can make some money and have this thing for the community. But then it was a full-time job. I was working 40, 50 hours a week.
Sounds familiar.
But I think kind of, when you talk about that opportunity, for me, there has to be a purpose behind it as well. So yes, it's about money. Of course, anytime you open a business, you want to make money or certainly not lose money. But for me with this coffee shop, it was really, I looked at the community around me and people were saying they wanted something that they could come in, socialize, hang out like we're doing now, have a good cup of coffee, walk to the library. So I kind of felt like I was filling a community need at the same time. But certainly it's a business and we're hoping to make a profit as well.
Now, I believe my understanding is correct that you actually own this building, correct?
Yeah. So from the investment standpoint, I bought this building in 2017. It's a 10-unit real estate building. This was like a law firm kind of office space.
Okay.
Then there's a pizza shop and a barber shop, and then 7 apartments upstairs.
Awesome.
So that actually made it easier, right? So when you talk about investing, one investment can lead to other options. If I didn't own this building, I would never have done this.
Correct.
The tenant was moving out. We had to rehab it anyway. So I
Yep.
was going to sink some money into the space anyway. So I said, all right, if I'm going to put money into the space, I'm addicted to coffee. Let's try to create a business.
You just
out of
answered
it.
my next question. Like,
Yeah.
what made you decide coffee? But that's a good reason.
And
I mean,
it really
was
is.
something personal.
I drink a lot of coffee.
I'm with you.
Yeah, it's I might have another one with you as well. I've had a bunch already today. But yeah, so for me, it was, I think just that entrepreneurial spirit. Once you do it once, and then you have, I could have just rented this space to somebody else, but that seemed like I was missing the opportunity.
Yeah.
Like it was my one opportunity. I knew if I rented this to another office or whatever, I would never have the opportunity to do it.
Right.
If this doesn't work, I can close it and rent it to somebody else. So I have options, right?
Yeah.
So it was that opportunity. It was a one time to do it. And coffee, who doesn't like coffee? Whenever I meet someone that says they don't drink coffee, I kind of look at them like, well, what do you do when you wake up?
Hi, have you met my broker?
Well,
can you believe it?
He
did have one cup though recently.
He's come in here before.
Okay.
He came in on our grand opening and he asked for a tea.
Yes.
And it was our soft opening and we didn't have tea.
He is a tea man.
He came in a second time and I had tea for him.
You're like, got it.
Yeah.
He did have a cup of coffee. Where were we? We were somewhere recently. And he did have coffee. And I just remember him saying it was the first one. And I kind of went, oh, okay.
Yeah. I've been drinking coffee since I was probably 25.
There's
really,
a
for
lot
me,
of
it was
people.
corporate America.
I actually know
really
a heavy handful. And that's my reaction. I'm like,
yeah.
How? Why?
What do you do? Like when I wake up, I literally eyes still half shut, walk over and hit the on button.
Yeah.
It's the first, and I stand there.
Yeah.
I don't sit down. I stand there. I got my cup in my hand. Yeah, and it's the first thing I do.
Are you the half pitcher pour? Like it's not even fully brewed?
No,
I am.
I let it fully brew. Again, being a coffee guy here with the coffee shop, I know it actually tastes better.
Says the same
it
thing.
tastes better if you let it brew and finish all the way through and let it sit for a second. But I literally stand there, and the second the beep goes off, I'm pouring it and I'm drinking it. So yeah. So again, the real estate investment led to the other one.
Right.
So one worked off the other one, which I think is the key. Everybody I know, like a lot of people that buy rental properties, then they have 50 rental properties and they open a property management business.
Yeah.
A lot of house flippers, they start flipping 50 houses and then they open up a real estate office, right?
Yeah.
So one business does create the next, which is what I love about being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So before we dive deeper into the investment side of things, I have a background in hospitality, restaurant. When you said 40 to 50 hours, that made complete sense for me.
That was my part-time job. I had a full-time job.
Right.
When we
and in
opened
my
it.
past lifetime, I did have a full-time job. I was the assistant general manager at Johnny's in Schenectady.
Okay. Oh, great place.
So,
I didn't know that.
And
That's a great place.
That was an undertaking. I learned a lot. It was an amazing experience. I will forever be indebted to John Malozzi because it offered me an experience in life that I probably would have never had.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
There is nothing to be excused on the amount of work that goes into running any hospitality type of a business.
It's overwhelming.
For you, tell me what was one of the things that you felt was the most difficult, we know there's going to be difficulties, but that you didn't expect to be the difficult part.
Yeah.
What was that?
For me, because I think it was the size of what we are, right? This is a small town. We're in the village of Stillwater. We're not Starbucks. You ever go to Starbucks and there's lines out the door and they do 1,000 transactions in an hour? That's not us.
Right.
We have 30, 40 people a day that come in here. So the hard part for me when I opened is I didn't really understand how to do the inventory. So we would buy 30 muffins and then sell 6 of them and have to throw 25 away.
Okay.
So the inventory was where we lost a lot of money when we started. And really, we didn't throw them away. I ate them. I'd bring,
I thought you were going to say you donated them,
no,
but
I ate them.
You took that one for the team.
I should have donated. I'd bring home bagels every day and muffins that were, 2 days old, and we'd bring them home.
Too,
I would just eat them. I just brought them home and ate them. So I think the inventory was the hard part.
Okay.
That was definitely the hard part. And then I think training the staff.
Yeah.
And for us, again, being a small spot, and I love coffee, but this was my first retail coffee shop too. So when we first opened, I didn't know how to make all the drinks. People were coming in and we had a little cheat sheet on how to make the drinks. So then to train somebody, most of the time when you train somebody, you are you're the expert and you're training a new person. I was brand new.
Yeah.
And so was my manager.
You were learning with your staff.
Completely. So I think training people, getting the staff up and running, and then managing inventory, those were a huge loss. And then you reminded me of one thing in the beginning that I don't think anyone realizes, and I didn't realize till I did. The real thing was we had to train our staff before we opened.
Right.
So I was like 3 payrolls in before we sold 1 cup of coffee.
Correct.
So I had 3 people that we hired when we started, and they're on the payroll. We're paying them to train them.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Like, I kind of knew it, but you didn't really realize. All of a sudden, it's like, wait a minute, guys, we got to open tomorrow because I have to start making some money. I'm paying thousands of dollars a week in payroll, and we're not open. So that was a huge hit right off the gate. So I think managing inventory, that payroll cost was big for me.
Yeah. And the hot point of what you just said was, I think, and I've experienced this, where people who don't have a business or have never been self-employed, had their own independent type of a company, thinks that if you own a business, you have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Having worked where I had people assuming that it just flowed. Well, I did the money and the bills and all of that for that restaurant before it went over to home office.
Sure.
And it's your income coming in is matched by the bills going out.
Yeah.
And so it's like someone who has $5 can afford to pay things for $5. Mm-hmm. Someone who has more, you're going to have to stay at that level.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also think it's one of the reasons that most people fail at small business. I myself, when my kids were younger, I ran my own New York State licensed daycare. I've done things, I've had many businesses, but one of the reasons why public small businesses fail is because I don't think going into it, they realize all that it takes.
Yeah.
There's going to be a time frame where you're not making money personally or as a business. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of extra time committed, not forever, but that initial startup. And I think that people get that taste of what it's like and they get discouraged and they back out.
Sure.
I'm glad you didn't back out. I don't come here often because obviously I'm on the whole other side of things.
It's not
but I
community.
Love visiting, and when I am in this area, I do love to come in, stop in, because I'd rather a small cup of coffee than a chain. And not that they're not good.
I love chains.
Just would rather.
I love chains, but that is one thing I've changed since I've opened this place. Mm-hmm. Now, whenever I go into a town and I need a cup of coffee, I'm Googling, give me the small local town place, just to go in and support them, shake a hand, say, hey, here's who I am, support me, I'll support you. I think that's key. And can I tell you my favorite part of doing this? The coffee shop?
I would love it.
You like this from a real estate perspective too. We're always talking about networking, right? In the real estate world, you're always talking about networking and farming a community for leads and all that stuff, and networking in the community. The part that the huge benefit to this was me being here, especially for the first year. I was here every day. So I was working, a lot here at the counter. So I was meeting every customer. It really made it where I know everybody in the community now. Right? So we talk about networking, going to a chamber event. Yeah, you need a couple people, but here, so now whenever I walk around, I go to the post office, I see 5 people that I know what their coffee drink is.
And that's
we
a
go,
different
hey,
feeling.
Jeff, how are you? Yeah.
That's not a feeling of, hey, I saw you at that meeting, or I saw you.
These are my friends.
I love it.
I've become friends with the whole crew. Like the mayor of Stillwater comes in here all the time.
That's so cool.
That's pretty good PR when you're shaking the mayor's hand and say, hey, how are you? Good to see you today. So I think that really opened my eyes when I think about networking. I just think networking was, chamber events and that stuff. No, it means get into the community.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying you have to open up a coffee shop in all your small towns.
I'm doing it tomorrow.
But join the PTA. Get in the community, and that is the way.
Show them you're invested in them, not just their dollars.
Yeah, and I've bought houses. I've had people come in here that know me as a real estate guy,
right? And
then come here for coffee, and they say, "Hey, my grandmother has to sell their house." So I've bought 2 houses from our customers that I turned out to be flipped. We flip houses as well. So this place is my coffee shop and made me part of the community, and I've flipped houses out here as well. And so
from a realtor perspective, I can probably assume that those customers had already had an established trust with you.
Sure.
So assumably, because you bought it as an investment, it wasn't a market value purchase. And they were probably in a position where your purchase of their property was a huge benefit for them.
Huge.
That is more than the transaction.
Oh, yeah.
That is what we talk about. And I don't think you can replicate that in any sense of the business world.
Yeah, you can't.
That is different. Those are the transactions that stay with you. It's like your 3rd grade teacher that said something special to you.
Yeah.
Years may go by, but that's still held with you.
Yeah, you still know them. No,
I love that. From the day I met you, I felt that you were a very approachable type of a person.
Thank you.
Down to earth, casual. And that is the most comforting thing when you're meeting new people, going into a community,
Yeah.
starting a business, looking to buy properties, because like you said, they know that you're an
Yeah.
investor, but they don't see you as a walls up, got to
No,
defend against you.
not at
They
all.
see
It's
you
a
as someone
relaxed
giving back to your
atmosphere.
community.
We're just talking about the house, and they
Yes.
said, "Oh, do you buy them?" Oh, yeah, I could buy that. So yeah,
I love
I think
that.
it's tough to be standoffish when you're taking someone's order, right?
Yeah,
Like
right.
this is a very easy format to get to
Yeah.
know someone. And a lot of times when we're, if I'm here working and where the people are sitting, I'll come around the counter
Yeah.
and I'll sit here and talk to people
I
for
love
20
it.
minutes. That's my favorite part of being here.
I bet.
I don't love working here every day. I've kind of taken myself. We have a general manager now that runs it.
Good.
But I do pop in from time to time, and I get to hang out with people. So
I love it.
yeah, it's been a cool thing for me so far.
All right, so let's talk about the big stuff.
Yeah.
I love that you started in mortgages, because obviously the years that you had
29 years in the mortgage
helped
business.
you understand not just, and I say this all the time, all mortgages are not created equal, because okay, I'm getting a mortgage. Most people don't know what that means. They don't understand that there's hundreds of different products. So for you, when you started to invest, and I think a lot of people assume there's one or two ways to buy an investment property, and it's not the truth.
There's
hundreds
hundreds of different ways
dozens
to do it.
And again, it's lender versus private lender versus cash versus equity.
Sure. Yep.
You've talked about these in length at our trainings, at our meetings. Talk to me a little bit about why you feel most people don't take the plunge to invest.
Yeah.
Because even if they have the knowledge, and we know that you got to put into place the education you get. Like when we go to trainings, if I listen to everything and I don't implement it, it's worthless. But it's deeper than that, I think, with investing. And I'm going to tell you from a perspective personally, you and I have had conversation, it is scary.
Yeah.
And it is scary as heck. It's not scary like, oh, I don't know if I want to do it. It's scary like, this could take me out. Like this is, and at my age, I should also preface by saying, like, if I was in my 20s, like, let's do this, let's try.
Yeah.
But what do you think is the one thing that's most detrimental in holding people back from doing that?
Yeah, I think people think it costs a ton of money to do it. So I think that's the number one obstacle. Every time I talk to somebody about my real estate investing, first off, I've never had anybody, when I say I flip houses and I buy rentals, I've never had anybody say, oh, I don't want to do that.
Right.
The answer is always, oh, I love those TV shows. That's what I've always wanted to do. So everybody in theory wants to do this. So I think the money, I think people think, and sometimes it does cost money. If you do it wrong, it costs a lot of money. And I've made every mistake. And, let me preface that. I never want to come across as I've never made a mistake.
Right.
I'm in the position I am because I've made every single mistake in real estate and in business possible. I just kept moving forward and just kept working through them. So I think money is the big thing. I think risk. I think some people inherently don't mind risk and others really get uptight about it.
Okay.
Or I think it's the definition of risk. Not to go off on a side tangent, but my definition of risk might be different than other people's.
Yeah.
So my definition of risk was when I had one corporate job and I had one paycheck and they could fire me at any time. Yeah. I would lay there at 2:00 in the morning and think, oh no, I'm having a bad month. I was in sales typically, so it was up and down, Like, oh no, if they fire me, how are my kids gonna eat? So to me, once I started buying rental properties, I looked at that as that minimized my risk because I had my job and I had income coming in, and I could also sell them at any time if you buy them right and take that profit. And I've done that many times. There have been times in my life where bills are out of control. I'm like, ooh, let me sell that rental property. Let me take this money, pay this off, or do something else.
And then restart.
Right. So they are my safety net. When I left my corporate America job, the first thing I did was sold 2 of my rental properties.
Okay.
There was a lot of equity in both of them. They needed work. And I said, I'm not working. I don't have a job right now. Let me sell these. That gave me the money to really bridge the gap until money started coming in from the coffee shop and from flipping. So I think it comes down to, for me, I don't mind risk in that aspect of it. And the money part doesn't scare me, I think, because of my mortgage background. I think that helped me.
So perspective is really, because like you just said, I thought what you said about the risk of losing your corporate job. And I think that's something that is often overlooked.
Yeah.
Even for people who don't want to invest or don't want to have their own business.
Yeah.
They will get comfortable in a job. And I remember being a business major in college and focusing on accounting and stuff. We talked about these topics. Yeah. And I have heard so many people be surprised by the saying, if you get fired from their job, they can replace you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And often we get these jobs and we're doing a great job and we're getting, good reviews and we're getting our raises as So we think we're untouchable, we're
Yeah.
invincible, we're going to have this job as long as I want it.
Yeah.
And that's often such a misconception.
Not the
So
case.
when you look at it as right now I have a bigger risk because I'm depending 100% on someone else,
Yep.
as opposed to, hey, if I start investing in myself and controlling my outcomes, I have less risk.
Whole different game. Yeah. And I remember one time very specifically, I was sitting in my corporate office, I had a window, and an upper management guy got laid off. He was 55 years old. I knew he had 2 kids in college, and I saw him walk out of the building holding his box.
The banker box.
Yeah, with his stuff in it, and
Ooh.
I remember and he just kind of like did one of those deep breaths, and I was like, oh no, that I can't let that be me someday.
Yeah.
I have to control this. So to me, buying rental properties was minimizing my risk, not increasing it. And when I tell people I do it, they consider me a risk taker, and I think that minimized my risk.
Yeah, it's such a good point you're making, and I'm still nervous.
Yeah.
But it is something I would like to do, but I also don't know if I want to do.
You should be nervous as well.
Yeah.
Now I'll paint the other side. It is expensive.
Yeah.
Tenants are not always the easiest to deal with. The eviction process is not great. We flip a lot of houses, and the expenses truly have skyrocketed in the last 5 years. So I do think back in the day, you could just kind of wing it.
Yeah.
I don't think you can anymore. We got to really dial in. The properties that we make money on are the ones that I'm really dialed in and stick to that budget.
Okay.
When we kind of wing it or say, it doesn't, let's just go.
Yeah.
Those are the ones we don't make money because costs can really skyrocket pretty quick. So you do have to kind of know what you're doing a little bit.
Right.
But I also think in today's day and age, knowledge, you talk about why don't people do it? I think it's, fear and lack of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Knowledge is the easiest thing to find out. You can Google, you can go to Facebook, you can go to
AI,
YouTube.
I mean, everything.
Go to YouTube and just type in how to replace a toilet, and there's 9,000 videos on how to do it. Or how to buy houses with no money down. You can spend 8 hours watching videos and at least get the basics of how to do those things. So it's a lot of opportunity. You have to do it correctly, but this is still a great thing to do. It's changed my life.
Yeah. I love it. I think that what you've done is amazing. I know that we've had conversations, and I know that you're not just stuck in the rentals or flips or small business. I know that you have a short-term rental.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about that, that's great.
Yeah, we have Airbnb. We have regular rentals, right? We have a lot of apartments in the area, flips. And then the Airbnb, it's in a vacation area. It's in Mystic, Connecticut. One thing I'll say about Airbnb, you're running a little hotel.
Yeah.
Right? Like a regular rental, as long as it's clean and the smoke detectors work, you hand them the keys and my job's done at that point. It's all of, they make a mess, it's theirs.
Yeah.
On the Airbnb side, if someone steals your towels, you got to go buy new towels because the next person comes in. You have to supply coffee and it's soap and all that stuff. So it can get expensive.
Yeah.
And you go long periods of time with no money. Ours is in a vacation area. So no one really vacations there in January.
Right.
So January, I'm taking 100% of those expenses on personally. But then in the summer, it's rented more and it offsets it. So Airbnb is a whole separate thing. It's much more labor intensive than a regular rental.
Yeah.
Regular rental, you rent, you're done. Airbnb, you're working, every time we get messages all the time. And my wife handles the Airbnbs. I don't have the patience to do that every single moment and be the real host.
Yeah.
She does a much better job than I could do. But it's a full-time job. She's getting messages every day on just one Airbnb.
Now, do you think if that location for you was down in the South, it would still be labor intensive, but do you feel like there would be more of that benefit because the profit would be year round as opposed to?
Yeah, but potentially for sure. Now, the strategy on that Airbnb I got, it's really where I want to retire to. Right. So another strategy for real estate is buy a rental property somewhere where you want to live. So if you want to retire to South Carolina, go buy a condo in South Carolina.
Did you just read my mind?
Is that where you want to go?
We're actually focusing on it.
Buy one, Airbnb or rent it, and then 10 years from now, when you want to retire, you already have the house there. That's why I bought the Mystic property. Now, that being said, it's my second home. So we don't drop, one of the strategies on Airbnb is if you're not rented tonight, like right now, that property is not rented.
Yep.
I should go to the app and drop the price to $49 just to get somebody to book it. Because Airbnb, you get credit for the algorithm puts you higher if your occupancy rate is higher.
Right.
We don't do that because I don't want somebody in my second home that I'm going to live in someday
paying
for $49
a night.
I don't
you know what they're going to leave it like.
Correct.
Exactly.
So we don't manage that one from a cost perspective the way a normal Airbnb person would. But the strategy is I already have my retirement home. Retirement home doesn't sound right. Where I'm going to live when I retire, already purchased. Yeah. And if you think about the way prices are going, I may not be able to afford it 10 years from now.
Correct.
But I could afford it now.
Yeah.
And then it's going to almost be paid off by the time I'm ready to retire. So to me, that was just another, talk about opportunity and strategy.
Yeah.
That was just another opportunity, another strategy to put into the full gamut of real estate.
And that's my focus right now. I am looking in South Carolina. I'm actually in the middle of getting my license down there.
Fantastic.
And my husband is on board, but I think he struggles because he's not thinking analytically like I do every day.
Sure.
And I try to explain to him, buying it now is not starting early.
Right.
It's setting ourselves up to be mortgage free when we get there.
Sure.
And to have somebody else pay that, or ourselves, but not having to endure that on a fixed income.
Correct.
Doing it when we still have an active income
coming up.
Yeah.
And again, just like, on this business, as I said before, we had a lot of cost before we opened.
Yeah.
On an Airbnb, you have that same issue. Our house in Connecticut is a 4-bedroom house. Ooh. So we had 4 beds, 4 mattresses,
bedding,
2
curtains,
couches. There's like 2 living rooms, so a total of 4 couches. So we spent a lot of money,
I'm sure,
just to get it up and running.
Right.
Before the first booking came in. So
right.
So again, that gets back to the beginning. I do think, having a job where you have money coming in, or rental properties that have money coming in, before you just leverage everything. So I do try to minimize my risk. My job and then now my rental income provides me money every month to then be able to spend that money knowing I'll get it back at some other point. You still have to be smart about your decisions. Okay. You can't risk everything. I'm not a poker player. You know what I mean? It's still calculated with what we do.
So if you could tell someone, whether it's real estate agents who want to start getting in the investment, because obviously that's a close connection. A lot of them do. Yeah. Or just an everyday person. What's one thing, if you could only tell somebody one thing about starting in the investment world, what would that be?
Tough question, because obviously this is a broad topic, right? But I think I'm going to answer that too. You say one, I'm going to give you 2. One is you just have to do it, right? Like I don't know anyone that started a business and was an expert on it when they did it. I don't know anybody. No. I didn't know anything about how to use that espresso machine when we opened. I didn't even know how to use it. I didn't know much about rentals when I bought my first rental property. I and a lot of people I know, we learn on the job. Yeah. Right? You can go through all the training, watch all the YouTube videos you want. You learn once you do it. So part of it is just ripping the Band-Aid off and just figuring it out and saying, I'm going to do this, and then actually doing it. Great part about real estate is if you do it wrong, you can always sell the place. And if you lose money, again, that's part of life, right? Yeah. We all go to restaurants. We all spend money all over the place. Yeah. I try not to do that, and I spend my money on, these types of properties. So I think that's the number one thing. You just have to do it. And then but I think the real advice would be buy a rental property close to your home in an area that you know. Okay. One of them is the first property I bought was in downtown Albany, and I live north of Saratoga, Stillwater, Saratoga area, so it was just really far away. Yeah. And for it was an hour and some odd drive. So now I don't mind that
layer of difficulty.
Yeah. And then it made everything harder, because if I was going to do a showing on the rental, I would rent to the wrong person, because bluntly, I didn't want to drive 2 hours back tomorrow because we had another showing. Yeah. So I was renting to people I normally wouldn't have. Yep. Dealing with contractors, just saying, just go do it, because I was working. So buy it close to your house. So you got to rip the Band-Aid off. You got to do it and buy it close to your house. I think those are the 2 things I would look at.
I think, and I'm not an investor, but I think if I had to give one piece of advice, it would be that gain knowledge. Sure. Get informed. Yeah. Spend time looking at the details before you're in the details. Yeah, agreed. Like, yes, you're going to learn. You're not going to be an expert, but don't go buy an investment property if you don't even know the first thing. Sure. You got to have a little bit of, or at least understand what you're up against. Yeah. Like, hey, I'm expecting to go through this, this, and this. But if you don't at least know that, then you will flounder, in my opinion. Agreed. But
and one safety net on that as well. Every ad I see for real estate investing online is always, buy it with no money down. You don't need any money. And that is true. You can buy property with private money or other ways and not spend any money. Right. But that's different than you not having any money. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So the very first property I bought back then, I'm old. So back then you could finance 106% of a rental property. So the first couple we bought them at 106% loan to value, covered all my closing costs. I bought them with no money down. Yeah. But 2 days later, the hot water tank broke, but I had money.
Yeah.
If I didn't have, if I had $0 in the bank account and that hot water tank broke, I'm in foreclosure in 2 months because I wouldn't have been able to rent it. So buying with no money down and you not having any money are, now I don't think you
Two
need to be a
different things.
multimillionaire,
Right.
but you got to have some reserve funds
Yeah.
to cover that. And I certainly have had tenants not pay me.
Yeah.
You know, and especially last thing about risk, there's less risk the more properties you have. So now I can have 30 of the tenants not pay me, and there's enough others that pay to at least cover the mortgage payment. Now, eventually I'd run out of money.
Right.
But in the beginning, on your first rental property, if that tenant doesn't pay you that first month,
You pay.
you pay. So
Mhm.
you have to have some reserve money. I
Right.
talk to people and they say, I don't have $1. I go, well, deliver pizzas for 3 months, put $5,000 in the bank, and
Yeah.
come back to me and let's talk.
Right.
At least have something, so if something breaks,
Yeah.
you can fix it without having to leverage it.
Complete.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thanks for joining us. I always love sitting down and talking everything real estate
too.
and community.
I could have done this all day.
I know. That's the problem. I could go on and on.
Yeah.
But I appreciate your time because I know you're busy.
Thank you for having me.
If you are in the Stillwater, Mechanicville, Waterford area, you have to stop by Upton Coffee. What are your hours, Jeff?
Sure. Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 1. So we focus on the morning breakfast time.
Okay.
Sunday, 8 till noon, closed on Monday.
Awesome.
Come see us anytime. And if you mention this video, we'll give you a free coffee.
Ooh, I'm coming. I'll be here Monday. No.
Fantastic.